Hello yogis, HeidiRosi here, bringing you a yoga flow. Today we are going to be focusing on the hamstrings, the backs of our legs. So if you have a block, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have a block, no worries. There are ways to do this class without a block, so don't fret. If you don't have a block, you'll still be able to do this practice. But if you have a block, you might want to just pause and go get it really quickly to use today. So anyway, yes, so we'll be focusing on the hamstrings, just kind of a brief video, and also be really mindful of your hamstrings. A lot of us have really tight hamstrings, and that can cause some low back pain. So just like every other practice, be mindful of where you are and how your body is feeling. So we're going to begin in a wide-legged child's pose. Bring your big toes to touch. Take your knees as wide or wider than your yoga mat. And first, using your hands, press your hips back towards your heels. Maybe your hips and heels connect, maybe not. And then slowly from here, you're going to walk your arms forward, lowering your chest down towards the floor. Eventually, your forehead meets the mat. Taking a few cleansing breaths here. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Two more just like that. In through the nose and out the mouth. One more in through the nose. Letting your lips close. Let the breath enter and exit through the nose. Drawing awareness to your exhales. Letting your exhales be slightly longer than your inhales. With having a slightly longer exhale, we begin to calm the nervous system. We begin to relax the whole body. Inhale, slowly begin to lift the heart and chest to hands and knees. Bring the knees underneath your hips. Untuck the tops of your feet if you had them tucked. And then inhale, rolling the heart and chest forward. Feel free to shake out the hips here. Roll the head from side to side. And exhale, begin to cat-like your spine, chin to chest. Navel to spine. And slowly inhale, rolling forward. And exhale, moving back, arching the spine. And then inhale, slowly come to a neutral spine. Exhale here. Extend your right heel back behind you as if we were going into plank pose. Your right foot extends behind you, right leg is straight. Now I want you to imagine that you're trying to connect your right heel to the earth behind you. So really press into the right heel. All your 5 toes on your right foot press into the mat as you press into that right heel. Maybe you lift your kneecap away from your shin bone to engage your quad. Pressing that right heel back. Exhale, slowly release your right knee back down to the earth. Feel free to shift from side to side if you need to. Pressing evenly into the palms of both hands. Extend your left leg back behind you. All 5 toes ground down on the left foot. And then again, imagine that you want that left heel to meet the earth. So press into that left heel. You should feel this in your calf, the lower part of your left leg. Slowly waking up the backs of our legs. Breathing here. And then slowly release the left foot down, or the left knee down to the earth. From your hands and knees, we're going to step our feet forward to the top of a mat, finding our way into a forward fold. So this first forward fold, bend deeply. Well, all of the forward folds actually, if you need this. Bend deeply into those knees. Bring your chest down to your thighs. Relax the head and neck. Shift your weight slightly to the balls of your feet, so drawing your weight forward slightly. Not enough that your heels lift up off, but that you're leaning forward slightly, relaxing the arms. You can do opposite elbows or just knuckles to the earth, whatever feels good. We're being really mindful on the backs of our legs. Our knees are bent. And we're breathing here in and out through the nose. If you have a block, you can take the block in front of your toes. To inhale, as we straighten our legs, we'll lift the heart and chest, reaching the crown of the head forward. If you don't have a block, place your palms on your shins as you lift up halfway. So either hands to the block or hands to your shin. Now what we're doing is we're straightening our legs and we're getting a little bit deeper into those hamstrings. Wherever you're at, either using the block or using your shins. One more inhale here. Thinking about expanding through your sit bones, opening up here. Exhale, fold forward, bend your knees. This time as you inhale, slowly keep the upper body heavy, knees are bent. As you roll all the way up to standing. Nice and slow. And then let the head and neck be the last to arrive. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, arms out to a T. Exhale, palms to your heart. Inhale here. Exhale, bend your knees and extend your arms as you swan dive or float the heart and chest down towards your thighs. Fingertips reach for the earth or the block or the tops of your toes. Inhale, half lift, hands to the block or hands to your shins. Exhale, fold in, bend your knees a lot, ground your hands down. Step your right leg back behind you. Here again is a nice place for the block. You can place your hands on the block if the ground is a little bit too far away, you can also do fingertips, or you can bring your hands all the way up to your left knee or your left calf, wherever. I'm going to keep my hands on the earth, my fingertips to the earth. Same thing like we did when we were in hands and knees. Press into your right heel. Imagine that you want that right heel to ground down to the earth. Breathing here. So again, you can use the block. You can be on fingertips, or you can be resting your hands on your thigh, your left thigh. Doesn't matter, as long as you're really firing up that right leg, pressing that right heel down. And then exhale, bend your right leg, step it up to meet the left. Half lift, inhale, shift your weight forward as you draw the heart and chest forward. Exhale to fold, this time step the left foot back behind you. Again, we're really firing up that left heel, pressing the left heel down. Fingertips to the block, to the earth, or to your right quad, your choice. Breathing here. This is a really hard one to see. I can't really demonstrate that well, but I'm really pressing a lot of weight into my left heel. My left calf, I can feel my left calf is stretching. Take another inhale wherever you're at. And then very slowly as you exhale, step your right foot to meet your left. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Since we're thinking about our hamstrings today, shorten your downward facing dog. So find your normal downward facing dog posture and step your feet up about a foot's length forward so that your heels can touch the mat or almost touch the mat. And then just like we did in those first two postures when we were really pressing our weight into our heels, we're doing the same thing here in downward facing dog. Press your weight into your heels and see if you can lift your 10 toes up off of the mat. Couple more breaths here. If your heels are touching, maybe you lift your big toes. Maybe it's just for one breath. Maybe you can just keep all your toes lifted. And then slowly release, moving back to your normal downward facing dog posture and shake it out. Inhale, lift your right leg towards the sky. As you exhale, come forward onto your left tiptoes, draw your right knee into your chest. Now we're going to bend our elbows until the right knee taps the ground. And then we'll press back up and lift our right leg back towards the sky, three-legged dog. Pressing into your left foot. Inhale, high on tiptoes, draw your right knee in, bend your elbows, knee touches the earth. Press it back up. Inhale, three-legged dog. One more time, just like that. Exhale, knee to nose, knee to chest. Bend your elbows. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Left side, 3 times, just like that. Inhale, lift your left heel towards the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Bend your elbows till the left leg or left knee touches the ground. Inhale, lift. Send it up. Beautiful. Okay, exhale again, forward, lower. Breathe, lift, send it up. One more time, just like that. Exhale. Inhale, send it up. Exhale to release. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right foot. Actually, before you lift your right foot, step both of your feet into touch so your big toes are touching at the back of your mat. Then inhale, lift your right foot towards the sky. Exhale, step your right foot towards the center of your mat. Our stance is going to be a little bit shorter, and both of our feet are facing the top of the mat for pyramid pose. So again, this is a great one if you would like to use a block, if you have a block, to place your hands on the block. You can do it on any height that feels good. Or again, you can use your shins or fingertips to the earth. What we are focusing on is we're taking this right hip and we're drawing it back. I don't know if you can see that. I'm taking my right hip and I'm drawing it back as I draw that left hip forward. It's going to accentuate the stretch here in my right leg. I'm also not hyperextending my knee. I keep a slight bend in my right knee because I tend to lock my knees when I straighten them, and that's defeating the purpose. So if you feel like you're locking your knee, find a micro bend in that knee. Again, you can hands to the block if you'd like, on any height. Palms to the earth, fingertips to the earth. We're gazing back towards our left foot. Still drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. Inhale, half lift, just like we did in that forward fold. So lift the heart and chest, maybe fingertips to your shins, maybe fingertips to the block. Exhale, fold, bend your right knee, and step your right foot forward a little bit. Drop that left knee all the way down to the ground. Keep your left toes tucked under. If you're using a block, take your block in your right hand. If you're not using a block, no worries. So if you're using the block, I'll go through this twice. So if you're using a block, take the block in your right hand as you sink your hips back towards your left heel. We're drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. Take the block to the inside of your right leg and full forward. Maybe you don't need the block, so you would just do the same thing without the block. Take your hips back towards your left heel, flex that right foot. You can bring both hands to the inside of your right leg. You can take one hand on either side of the right leg. The important thing is that these right toes are flexed. Doesn't matter if the chest is lifted. It's kind of up to you, whatever feels good. Okay, one more inhale here. And then we're going to add just a little bit. So, flexing your right toes. Begin to drop your right pinky toe down towards the floor. Now we're getting a little bit into the IT band. Ooh, mine's a little tight today. Breathing here. It's hot in here, I'm sweating. Midwestern summers have got me. And when I'm filming, I have to turn off the fan because my fan makes so much noise. So it's just kind of stagnant air in here. Take one more breath wherever you are. It's good though. It's good to sweat a little bit. Go ahead and come all the way forward. If you have the block, you can take the block to the front of the mat, untuck your left toes, and draw your hips forward. Take a nice deep lunge in this right leg. Breathing here. Should feel good on this right leg to bend it a little bit after having it straight. Tuck your left toes under, lift your left knee up off of the mat, step your right foot back to meet your left. From here, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Again, since we're focusing on our hamstrings, think about shortening that downward facing dog stance so you can get both of your heels down, Really pressing. Feeling that stretch all the way up. I even feel a little bit in my low back. My hamstrings have been super tight lately. I've been doing a lot of sitting and a lot of driving. So my hamstrings are really tight. Take your feet back to your normal stance. Inhale, rise up high onto tiptoes, draw the shoulders forward, bend the elbows, drop your knees towards the floor, bending your knees, and then press your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, high up on tiptoes, roll the heart and chest forward, bend your knees lower down towards the earth, and then press the hips up and back. 1 more time, sweeping forward. Exhale, down and back. Bring the big toes to touch. Inhale here. Exhale, step the left foot forward. Not all the way up to the top of your mat, about 3 foot away from the right foot. Right toes and left toes both face forward. So again, the block is here for you. And we're drawing the right hip forward this time and your left hip pulls back. Thinking about the left leg, no hyperextension here. So maybe you need to keep a little bend in that left leg and that's fine. So that left hip draws back as your right hip draws forward. You can take your gaze back towards your right toes, up towards your belly button. Again, if the floor isn't accessible, the block is here. If the floor isn't accessible and you don't have a block, your shin is here. Whatever you need to hang on to. And maybe you notice if you're using the block after a few breaths, you'd like to deepen it. You can always roll the block onto a different side, get rid of the block. If you're on your shin, you can walk your fingers down towards your ankles. If you're on your fingertips, maybe palms. Inhale, half lift, fingertips on top of your block, top of your shin, wherever you're at. Reach the heart and chest forward. Exhale, fold in. Bend your left knee and step your left foot forward a little bit more. Walk your right foot back a little bit. Drop that right knee down to the mat. Today we're keeping the back toes tucked under, so toes stay tucked. If you're using the block, take the block with you as you begin to, I'm gonna fall over. Take your hips back towards your heel. Block is here. We're drawing our left hip back and our right hip forward. Maybe you're on your hands, maybe you're on your knuckles, fingertips. If you'd like to be folded forward, you can fold forward. If you want to keep your chest elevated, keep your chest elevated. Lots of options here. Breathing. Breathing is not an option. You have to breathe in every pose. One more inhale here. Keep those left toes flexed. We get a little bit into that left IT band. Begin to open up your left foot towards the left. Okay, point your toes back towards the ceiling. Walk yourself forward, untuck your right toes, finding a deep lunge. In the left side. Block is always there for you if the ground is not accessible. And from here, tuck your toes. Lift your right knee off the mat. Step your left back to meet your right. Downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze to the top of your mat. As you exhale, step your left foot to the top of your mat and rotate so that both of your feet are facing the long edge of your mat for a wide-legged forward fold. Shift your weight slightly into your toes. Think about your knees. We don't want to hyperextend our knees, so a slight bend in the knees. Fingertips, oh, I forgot to say it, but if the block, you can always use the block. The block is there to bring the ground up to you if you need it. Maybe you can take your head down to the block, wherever you're at. I prefer fingertips. Sometimes I turn my fingertips to face the direction of my heels, and then I walk my hands back behind me. Okay, wherever you're at, complete your exhale. Inhale, half lift, flattening out the back. And as we exhale, we're going to walk our hips towards our right heel. My hair's driving me crazy. Towards our right heel, flex the left foot. Then use your hand to walk your fingers towards the left. Flex the right foot. We'll just do that a few times, keeping those hips nice and low. Working towards getting your heel on the mat. We'll get there. Sometimes it's just a matter, of not falling over, wherever you're at. You can use your hands to help you move, or you can do it with no hands. It's really up to you. And gently sway your hips from side to side. And then fingertips to the tops of your mat. Take your feet all the way back, downward facing dog, one last time. From downward facing dog, make your way to hands and knees. And then from hands and knees, we'll just come onto our seat. Do a seated forward fold and then move on to our back. So I like to use my hands and move some of that extra flesh out from underneath my sit bones. If you don't have that, that's fine. Or if you don't mind it there, also fine. For me, it just helps tilt my pelvis forward a little bit. All right, flex your toes towards the sky. Slight bend in your knees, heels ground down. Inhale, sweep the arms. Exhale, hinge forward. We're reaching for our feet, our ankles, our shins. Inhale, hold on to whatever you're holding on to. Lift the heart and chest up halfway. And then as you exhale, we'll fold forward again. Thinking about drawing the heart and chest forward, maybe relaxing through the head and neck. Maybe you'd like to round. The eyes can close. Always breathing. Always always tuning inward, listening to the body. And very slowly begin to rise up. Take a deep inhale and exhale. From here, we'll move down onto our backs. We'll take the block with us. There'll be an option for a block usage. Also, there'll be an option without a block, so no worries if you don't have one. Rolling down all the way onto your back. Bend your knees. Place the soles of your feet on the earth. Then take your fingertips and reach them down towards your heels. See if you can brush your heels with your fingertips. From here, pressing into the palms, into the shoulders, into your heels. Lift the hips slightly up off of the mat. And then exhale, slowly lower the hips down. Again, inhale, pressing into the feet, the hands, and the shoulders. Relaxing through the glutes. Lift the hips up. And then slowly lowering the hips back down. Beautiful. From here, if you're not using a block, bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees open up into Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose. And then rest your hands gently by your side. If you are using a block and this sounds lovely to you, please feel free to join me here. Or, if you have a block handy, pressing into your feet enough to slide the block underneath your sit bones, right below your sacrum. And rest here. The block can go on any height. So either in Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose, or in supported bridge pose. Wherever you are finding your final breaths. Or maybe neither of these work for you and you would like to just rest in a traditional Shavasana. Like I said in the beginning of the practice, it's really important just to focus on what you need, what your body needs. Letting the eyes close wherever you are. If you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly pose, slowly begin to bring your knees into touch. If you're in supported bridge pose, slowly remove the block from underneath your hips. If you are in Shavasana, draw your knees into your chest. And then we'll all meet on our right side in fetal position, however you need to get there. Letting the eyes stay closed, the gaze to be soft. And And slowly using your hands to guide you. Pressing yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Allowing the head and neck to arrive last. Bring your palms to touch, resting your thumbs at your heart center, bowing your chin to your chest. And taking one last moment to honor your body and to honor your efforts. Lifting your thumbs to your third eye. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. I hope that your hamstrings feel a little extra love today. And just know if they are a little bit tight tomorrow, it's probably because you stretched them today. And this is a great practice to do a couple days in a row to just help get those hamstrings nice and lubricated. So thank you again for joining me today. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I love to hear from you. Thank you.